The truth is very paradoxical. The truth, it seems to conflict itself, but what you have to realize is the only reason that it seems conflicting is because you're unwilling to let go of one context of truth to see it in another context, right? That's what creates confusion, is our inability to let go of one context and be open to the context that is in front of us. So I want you to think of it this way when we talk about truth. So truth just is. It is everywhere at all times. We think that when we discover the truth, because all of us have discovered the truth in a context, but when we discover that truth in that context, then we assume that that is the truth, that it applies to all context. And then we say, you know what? I found the truth. I've got the truth, right? I have the truth. And then we put it in our little backpack, whatever, metaphorical backpack, and we carry it on our back and we go around and say, I have the truth. I have the truth. And then we meet another person and they're like, I have the truth. I have the truth. Because they did the same thing. They found the truth. They saw the truth in a context, They took it from that context and put it in their backpack and they're going around, I have the truth. I have the truth. And then they meet in the middle and they look at each other and it's like, I have the truth. Well, I have the truth. Okay, well, let's see what you have. And so they open their backpack and they're like, well, that's not the truth. Another person's like, well, that's not the truth. This is the truth. No, this is the truth. And so we argue, we start to argue over who has the truth. Now, this is going to sound ridiculous to a lot of people. And this is why I struggle to even make this video. But it is what it is. I can only do my best. I can't force people. People are going to say, well, there is a truth. There is a right and a wrong. Okay. You can say that. But who determines the right or the wrong? Is it your definition? And sorry if you can hear my dog breathing and snoring. Is it how you define the truth? For example, it's like, well, the truth is that this is bad. And then someone else says, well, no, this is bad. It gets so convoluted and complicated. You see what I mean? And so now we're arguing over what we have labeled, not what the truth is labeled. The truth just is. It just is. And it meets us where we need to be, and it shows itself as it needs to be shown in every situation. It is not our job to compartmentalize it. It is not our job to collect it. It is not our job to define it. It is not our job to exploit it. It can do all of those things that it needs to do that we feel like we are doing in a righteous, justified way. It can do on its own. It doesn't need us. The truth just is. The problem happens when we take that truth and we start to weaponize it. We take it out of context and we begin to weaponize it. And not only do we weaponize the truth, we begin to exalt ourselves as the truth bearers. It's not our job to bear truth. It is our job to bear witness to truth. And what that means is opening ourselves up enough to not be attached to anything, not being attached to our beliefs. And this is what I mean about being an empty vessel. Because the more that we cram our beliefs on top of our identity and create this narrative about who we are, what we believe, what is right, what is wrong, then we become justified in all those things and we believe that they are right. And everything else that doesn't look like that is wrong. That's what happens with the truth. So as I'm speaking to you, if you are holding your truth and you haven't let it go, because that is a context that you found that truth, right? But if you're holding that truth in that context, and now you're looking at the truth that I'm talking about, and you're comparing it, you're like, no, that doesn't align. So I'm going to dismiss everything you said. And then I'm going to go to someone else who's holding their truth, right? We're all pulling the truth out of our little backpacks and we're comparing. And it's like, that person's looks like mine. So we have the truth. You and I have the truth. Let's go over here. Let's find more people. Now we know the truth. These people don't know the truth. Then those people find people who have the truth from that same context. And now they believe they have the truth. And so we're all naive if we think we have the truth, because the truth just is. And our job is to discern the truth. Our job is to be empty, to be unattached, and to walk into any given situation and be so aware and unattached that we can discern it in every circumstance. When you understand the truth in that way, you don't need laws. You don't need rules. It doesn't work that way. Now, if you say that to people today, yeah, we need laws, unfortunately, in this messed up world that we're in, because few are willing to accept and receive what I just said and to let go of holding on to something. I mean, imagine this. Imagine that you go somewhere, you take a picture in time, and then you always expect that the picture that you took of that place in time and space to never change, to always look like that. You're so attached to how it was that you can't accept it being any other way. You may feel angry. You may feel remorse, depending on obviously what you took the picture of. But the point being is attachment creates all of our suffering. It is our attachment to things, possessions, people, truth. Because guess what? The truth is ever changing, as much as you don't want to believe that. Now, I can say the truth is ever changing, but it's also ever constant. It is one and the same. It is ever constant, and that is justice and love. The truth at its core is justice and love. The truth ever changing is how that justice and love shows up in the world. And anytime we are parading the truth around as something that is not of love, then it is not of the truth. But anytime we parade around thinking that we know what that truth is, it is also not the truth. Because the truth cannot be defined. It cannot be placed in a bucket of right, wrong, good, bad, because it doesn't see things that way. It understands that sometimes we need chaos in our lives to get us to realize that we need to eliminate things, that we need to slow down. And I know I'm kind of digressing a bit, but that's what this is all about, you know? It's about being fluid. It's about not holding on to something. That's another thing. It's not about being so fixated on one idea. I can make this video about one thing and it's like, oh, I changed topics. Oh no, I need to get back on topic. But life is about flow. And when we go with the flow, we're at ease and we're at peace and things just happen naturally. You say, well, that's just not how the world works. Well, it's not how we've made the world work. We have so many systems in place that we've created that are sustaining life, so to speak, but are not the solution to life. It's artificial. It's like being on a ventilator. These systems are a ventilator because we need it. We're in a really bad state of health. We need it to survive. So we have to ensure that first we get ourselves healthy so we can get off that ventilator, being these systems, these laws, these dogmatic and rigid systems of belief that are preventing us from living the life that all of us want. Happy, peaceful, harmonious, and content. That requires letting go. Letting go of self-importance. Letting go of having all the answers. Letting go of having to make sense of things and then impose that sense making onto others. Let's talk about sense making for a minute. He's so sleepy. He's all tuckered out. My dog is snoring. Make sense of. I love words. That's another thing I've been fascinated with since being on this journey is words. And make means to create. I'm going to create sense out of things. Or I'm going to make sense of this. Okay. What is this? Well, this is an element of all that is, right? It's an element of everything that we are going to try to make sense of. Okay, I probably just lost you there. Let me recalibrate. All right, so we're going to create, we have senses. We have 5 senses. And we create an understanding of all that is through our senses, yes? So we are making sense through our sensories out of it. Out of. Right? We are taking all of this stuff and we're taking data points out of all that is, which means that it's not what it is, it's just part of what is. And it is the data points that we chose to construct reality around. So that's why everybody has all these different versions of reality, because we're all just trying to make sense of it. It being all that is. So the way you make sense of it and I make sense of it may be very different. And you may say to me, well, that just doesn't make sense to me. You may just say that doesn't make sense, but what you mean is that doesn't make sense to me. But what we have to realize is we're just pulling data points that don't resonate with other people. And we're trying to impose our data points of reality onto other people. And they're doing the same thing. And this is why we talk about empathy, and we talk about understanding, and we talk about listening. And what that means at its core is to stop for a moment of making your own sense and being open to all of the data points that other people have found and realizing that it is taking all of those data points and adding to one another, that's when we get the big picture. But we're so stuck on arguing over the data points that we pulled from everything that we fail to see that it's the collection of those data points. Now, how you arrange those data points may not be as accurate as other ways, right? Like when you're baking a cake, you can have all the right ingredients, but if you have too much or too little or don't add them in the right order, the cake isn't going to come out the same way, even if you have the right ingredients, because the amount and the order and all of that plays into it. And none of this may make sense to you. And so then we try to also figure it out. Figuring it out. Figuring. We are forming, we are creating a form out of it. But the form that we create is only a part of it. It is it. But by saying it is all that it is inaccurate. It's like if I cut my little pinky off and say, this is me, like it is me, but it's not me. It's part of me. I cannot exist with just this little bit, right? It takes the whole in order for all of me to exist. Now, could I live without this end of my pinky? Yes, I could. But this end of my pinky could not live on its own. It would need me. That's the way the truth is, right? We can slice it and dice it. But when we take it away from that which gives it life and meaning and truth, then it dies and becomes not truth. It's liberating to just ramble about this. And I love it. I enjoy doing this. I would enjoy it more with people. I love having dialogue. I love answering questions because I understand that this is extremely confusing. Very confusing. But you have to realize it's equally simple. The confusion only comes in, excuse me. The confusion only comes in when we're still attached to other things. Because what we're doing is we're trying to filter it through all those other things and make it make sense. And it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. I plan on doing more videos like this whenever I feel the urge to talk about something. But I would like to ask something of you watching this. If this resonates with you, wonderful. One of a dear friend of mine and someone I consider a mentor, he always says that, in his sessions, whatever I share with you, please just take it for yourself and don't try to reteach it. And I never understood that. At first, in the beginning, when he said that, I was like, that's selfish. Are you just trying to hoard it all for yourself? And no, he wasn't. He isn't. But what he understands is that in that room, in that space, people are going to package what they just discovered or heard or whatever. They're going to box it up. Then they're going to take it to another context. And if they don't have the awareness and the ability to discern the truth in any context, then they're just going to take that truth and open the box and throw it out there and say, this is it. It's not how it works. And it's what I've been struggling with. I've been a seeker, supposedly, of truth. That's what I call myself, a seeker of truth for all these years. But where I had it wrong is it's okay to be a seeker of truth, but it's not okay, in my opinion, to be a hunter, to be a poacher of truth, which is technically what I was trying to do. I was seeking it, but I was seeking it because I wanted to catch it. And when I caught it, I had this prized possession now that I could exploit and monetize and benefit from. Not anymore. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for me. I have stopped trying to create a plan for my life because, again, that is me trying to control something. So I live my life day to day, moment to moment. I operate my business day to day, moment to moment, in the hopes that someone will see the value and will be open to exchanging that energy. Because, again, I go back to the ventilator and the systems we've created. We shouldn't have to pay to eat and to survive. We shouldn't. That's not the way this world was set up. It's what we've set up for this world. But the earth has so much to offer us for free. The air we breathe is free. The food technically should be free because we can grow it from the earth. We have created a system that hoards and holds and demands the exchange. But what I am asking and what I am hoping is that, because I'm going to put out content and I am going to talk about this stuff and create and do what I'm doing now, whether I get paid or not, but it is a bit exhausting not seeing any fruit from years of labor and love. And it pains me even more to see people hurting, to see people in distress, and to offer that solution. Not me bringing a solution, but to go into the situation and to connect with the truth in that moment and to say, okay, here we go. Here's your solution. And then people reject it and dismiss it and deny it. And I am just so tired of that. So my hope is that if you are watching this content, that you yourself will take whatever from it, but you will not try to convey this to other people because it's a very complicated thing to convey. I would ask, out of respect for the truth, that you send them to this video or any video that resonates with you, whether it's mine or not mine. It's not about me. And that was where I was getting it wrong with this friend and mentor. I thought that he was being selfish and, don't let this go out of this room. But it wasn't about hoarding. It wasn't about him, being selfish. It was about him understanding the complexity of all of this and how it can get warped. And so that's what I ask of you is, if you find the truth in any context, share it in that context and that context alone, but do not try to apply it to all contexts. Do not try to explain it for yourself. Do not try to make sense of things. Just be open, be receptive, be loving, compassionate, understanding, be empty. Because only when you empty yourself and your mind are you able to receive. And then you can let it flow. It goes in, goes out. Doesn't have time to ripen and rot on a vine. And if anyone, I love talking about this. I love speaking with people face to face, so I can actually answer questions that people have. So I am open to an exchange of energy, meaning, a monetary exchange because I have to survive. And I don't feel like it's fair to my husband to have the whole burden of responsibility on him. But I'm not going to slap an outrageous price tag on it. I'm someone who, if you see the value and I feel like your heart is pure and your intentions are pure, I'll work with you. And at the same time, another reason that I don't make money is because I turn a lot of companies down that they're just wanting me to be their little minion to get them the results that they want, which is more money, but it's masked as we want to help our people. No, you want to make your people more productive and get along better so it's not impacting your business negatively, and you'll pay a pretty price for that. I don't care about your money. I care about making an impact. And if you're someone who is using things like emotional intelligence, awareness, empathy, truth as a means to an end to get you what you want, you can throw $1 million at me and I'm not going to take it. I've survived 4 years off of less than a full salary for 1 year. And I believe that I'll be taken care of no matter what if I continue to do what I believe is just. And I don't want to say right, because right can just, again, we like to pigeonhole things into right or wrong. And so I'm just going to say a virtue and justice. I don't know. And there's times where I misstep, and I'm going to misstep after this video. I'll probably mess up 1,000 times more in my life, maybe 1,000,000 times more in my life. But every moment I will speak the truth. Now, what I believe to be the truth today and in this context may look very different 10 years down the road as it has 10 years in the past. But it feels like truth in that moment. And as long as I'm not allowing that truth to be formed by my ego, by my idea of what reality should be, then I think that I'll be okay. I don't have all the answers. I don't try to claim that anymore. I used to. When you realize how vast reality is, how vast truth is, and how much it shifts to meet the moment, you begin to realize that knowing things isn't as much as an absolute as it is, again, knowing deep down moment to moment. Gosh, and it's such a clusterfuck. Such a clusterfuck. Oh. Anyways, I feel like this is a good stopping point for today. I think I've been going for at least an hour, and I have no doubt that there will be a lot more in the future. But yeah, till next time.